Hello, the weather has turned appalling, so I have rearranged some space in my house. We'll see if it works with the voice in here. If it does, and I've configured a space that we're able to be using, we might stick with this as the voiceover thing's just not working. Hello Hobbs, did you sense that I pressed play? Did you? Okay, covered in cat hair already. Right, we're going to start with child's pose. So let's make our way into that now. Towards the back part of your mat, bring the bottom back to the heels, find a bit of length, keeping that strength in the belly. Remember, we're not ever trying to flatten our back completely. Our natural curves are always still there, but just that sense of lengthening within that. So we're just going to start by bringing our attention to our flow of breath. Notice how you're making contact with the floor. So when you first come into it like this, it might be a little bit haphazard. Notice are your feet rolling out. Let's see if we can press the top parts of the feet into the floor as evenly as possible. Notice which parts of your shins are in contact with the floor. How do the knees feel in contact with the floor? Where is the forehead on the floor? Perhaps give it a little bit of a roll side to side, give the forehead a little bit of a massage. What about the hands? Are they sort of flopped out? Can we find a good position for them? The base of the first finger, base of the thumb, base of the little finger. Those 3 points nice and evenly. All the pads of the fingers clawing down into the mat. Bit of strength through this. It's not a yin version of the pose. We're not letting go completely. We're still engaged here. And then bring your awareness to your flow of breath. Notice that breath flowing in through the nose and then out through the nose. And it may be that, like me, you've been a little bit too often to the biscuit tin during this lockdown period and your bum's not quite making it back to the heels, but that's okay. We're not worried about what it looks like. We're just focusing on doing it. Feeling it. So as long as it feels like your bottom is moving back towards the heels, whether it gets there or not doesn't matter. Fab. And then we're going to move through some cats and cows and start linking breath and movement together. So bring the hands to sit underneath the shoulders, knees to sit underneath the hips, finding again that sense of length. What's going on with the head and the neck? Is it just dangling there? Let's engage the neck. And as we breathe in, imagine drawing the chest through the space between the arms, lifting the head, lifting the tail. As we breathe out, scoop through the belly, round through the back. So we're going to do this a couple of times. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Fabulous. Maybe have a little ease into a downward facing dog. So at any point if it gets too much on your wrist, pop back into child's pose. Maybe take the elbows to the floor. Give the wrists a little bit of a roll, particularly if you haven't done a lot of hands down stuff during this lockdown period. You might find that the strength in the wrists has gone a little bit, but that's okay, it'll come back. So, just like we did before, nice strong presence into the floor with the hands, clawing those fingertips down, energetically lifting away from the floor so that those wrists are supported. Inhale, lift into the cow pose. Exhale, scoop through the belly and get this real strong pull right from your belly to round the back and then start to lift the knees. So we're going to do that a couple of times. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Every time it's just getting a little bit closer to being the kind of downward facing dog that you're going to be happy with. This time, let's make our way to that down dog. Pedal through the heels. Maybe relax the neck. Check out what you're doing with your hands. Okay, keep that strength in the belly, big breath in. Let's lift right up onto the toes. And as you breathe out, come forward into a plank. Inhale. And exhale. Couple more. Last one. This time, knees down, chest, chin come down. Take a moment. Take one chin, no, one cheek. Whichever chin you like. Take one cheek down to the floor. And then take the hands down. And let it go. Maybe kick the feet out. Just take a moment. Notice the quality of your breath. Keeping the eyes closed, maybe turn the other cheek to the floor. Just to even everything out. Okay. Let's bring the feet together. Bring your head back to the centre. I'm just going to have a little bit of a play coming into Cobra. So press the tops of the feet down into the floor, strengthen through the legs, find that neutral spine. So we're not going to stick the bum out and collapse here into the lower back. Almost feels like you're lengthening the tail towards the heels. You're not flattening the back, you're not tucking the tail under, it is still neutral. And then finding a comfortable position for your hands. Just like in the cat's meows, we're thinking about that broadening across the collarbones and drawing the chest forward. So breath in, inhale, and breath out. Now if there's any pinching or you can't breathe at any point, you're trying to lift too high. If your shoulders lift up into your ears, you're trying to lift too high. So for a bit of a test, hover the hands off the floor. Think about the shoulder blades moving down towards the back. And how high can you comfortably lift? That's your starting point, that's your guide. Obviously with the support of the hands in the floor, you might get a little bit higher. But if you find that you're pushing down into the floor to lift up, and then you end up getting all uncomfortable and your shoulders lifting up to your ears, if this is what you look like, you can also notice that my legs have started to roll out a bit here as well. That's too high. So regardless of what it looks like in books or what you see other people do, you're focusing on what it feels like for you. Good, let's pop it back to child's pose. Okay, so we're going to go through a little flow. Just a little flow. We've already started to warm up. If you're watching it on a stormy day like today, the humidity is quite high, so I'm going to start sweating. If you're watching it on a nice dry day, you may not. That's okay. Take a nice breath in, fill the lungs. Okay. As we breathe in, we're going to move into that cow pose. Breathing in. And lift through cat to down dog. Breathe in, lift right up onto your tippy toes. And exhale into your plank. Push your way through those heels. Big breath in here. Knees, chin, chest. On the way down. Inhale, Cobra. And then back to child's pose. Okay, so that's our little flow. Let's go. Big breath in. And out. In. And out. Let's do it again. If you need to, take a wrist roll. If you're happy to, you can keep going with that flow. If you're feeling super, super strong, you do not need to put your knees down. So if you're feeling super, super strong, you can come down through chaturanga instead of knees, chin, chest. We'll just do a couple like that if you want to, or you can keep your knees down. I'm going to do one more. Okay, so we're nice and warm. Let's take the hands over to one side of the mat. Have a bit of a stretch down through the side body. And then take it to the other side. Easing the way back through centre. Okay. So, we're going to come onto our all fours. Are you ready, Hobbs? No? No? Okay. Let's take one foot all the way out. Now, what happens? Does the foot drag down? Does it lift too high? Let's think about pushing that heel back, rotating to the toes towards the floor. And what will happen is, it still may not be perfect, but your hips will become a little bit more level. Otherwise, they'll be a bit wonky. So let's think about the length between the crown of the head and the heel. Big breath in. And then we're going to take this knee in a bit of a circle. So we're going to take it out to the side. Inhale, lengthen. Let's go it the other way. Just easing into the hip a little. I think that was 2. Let's do one more. We're aiming to do 3 pairs, counting obviously not my strong suit. Okay. Maybe have a bit of a wiggle, maybe take the pressure off the wrist if you need to. I've seen these wedge-shaped blocks that are thicker at one end than the other, and so people can put their hands on like that, and it just changes the angle. So if you are struggling, maybe get one of those. I've been thinking about getting them, but I'm sure I'll get used to it again. Okay, here we go. Easing into these hips. That's one. Out. This time I'm going to take the knees a little bit wider, send the bottom back to the heels, the chest will ease a little bit closer towards the floor. And again, here you might choose the shark fin variation just to take that pressure off the wrists. Okay. Let's give a little bit of a roll through these wrists. And the other way. I'm going to spread through the fingers and then make a fist. Spread through the fingers, make a fist. And then give them a shake. Okay. Let's throw a bit of balance into this then, shall we? So we're going to start with that same kind of flow, but add bits to it. Come up to stand, do a little bit of balance, and then come back down. So we'll start again in our child's pose with, if possible, parallel thighs. Making sure the hands are in a happy position, because we're going to come up into our downward facing dog. Inhale. And exhale through that count. Lift up into the downward facing dog. And this time we're going to have a little bit of a play. So let's take the right leg all the way out behind. Maybe have a little play with opening that hip a bit. Give it a little wiggle. A little hops again. And then we're going to take this knee in a circle. And the other way. So remember, if you're doing this now from down dog, you'll roll forward into a plank. If that is too much, you do it from your force position and keep your knee down. This time I'm going to take this foot and step it between the hands. So that's going to be a big oomph through the belly. Look where you intend that foot to go. It didn't make it. So we're going to give it a little bit of a help. Take that foot now and really ground it. So much easier on a flat floor than it is in the garden. Push away through the back heel and draw forwards with the chest. We're going to identify a spot that we can keep our gaze on. And when we lift, using that spot, that'll keep us. So we might still be a little bit out of it here. We're going to draw back with this hip, find that link through the tail, and sink down into it. Push away through the back heel, really strengthen the back leg. Inhale as we lift. As we exhale, send those fingertips back, draw the chest forward and make yourself as long as you can between the crown of your head and that back heel. Inhale. Okay, take the hands to the floor. Now, this is a transition into a standing split. It will not look like standing split because I can't do splits, but this is my interpretation of a standing split. So we're going to push this foot up, draw energetically up through this leg, lift up through this hip, find length. Be careful, this hip's going to want to open if you're anything like me. Try and flatten it off a bit. And then you start to ease the chest down towards the floor, towards the leg, and lift the back foot as high as it can without it overly opening up. It's probably going to a bit. So we're going to find this length up here. Let's not get it too wibbly. Lift right up into this hip crease. No locking out of that knee. Keep it strong. And then we're going to transition to a standing balance. So find the softness in the knee if you need to. Look forwards and then use that energetic lift to bring the knee up, standing up. Lovely open chest, strong here. Try and keep the hips as level as possible. How high does the knee want to come? Can you, for example, give it a hug without, going all wobbly and curling in? More important to be open here in the chest. So if you can't hold on and give it a hug in, maybe you can tap it down and find that opening there. Or if you've got a strap or a belt, you could hook it around. So find a position that's going to work for you. And we'll take it out to the side, so wherever's comfortable on the leg. Avoid the knee itself, maybe the shin, maybe the underside of the thigh. But we're going to open it out. From here, we're going to take this foot and place it wherever is comfortable on the leg. So your foot might be on the floor with your heel resting on the inside of the leg. It might be on the calf, it might be on the thigh. But let's see if we can open the knee out to the side as much as possible. Opening it out without rotating around. We're trying to keep ourselves facing forwards. Chest lifted. Now, hands together, if you really press them in, that's going to encourage a strengthening here in the belly, and that'll help with your balance. As will a drishti, a fixed point. You're not staring hard at it, you're almost looking through it. If you want to, you might choose to have a different arm position. You can play with this, whatever feels good. And then we're going to transition through our standing split. Oh no, to our lunge. Hello, Hobbs. And then into our downward facing dog. Okay. We're going to do the other side. So, I just want to put my foot there, thank you. Open the other leg up. Maybe have a play with that hip, see how it feels. And then we're going to circle at the knee. So, elbow to elbow. How many did we do on the other side? Was it 2? Or was it 3 pairs again? Well, however many you did on side 1, if you can remember, wonderful. I, on the other hand, am struggling. I'm going to say it was 3, although it's entirely possible it was 2. And then I'm going to take this foot up to the top, and once again it did not quite make it. That's okay. So, find that sense of length. How long were you in front of the camera, Oscar? I hope you didn't miss too much. Okay. Coming into that standing split again. So, weight into that front foot, hands in a comfortable position. We're going to launch forward and work on this straightening of this leg. So straighten it up without locking it out. If you're feeling pressure in the back of the knee, you're pushing back. So a little softness. Lifting right up the leg into this crease in the front of the hip. And then on the exhale, let the head hang down. How high does the back foot want to come? Maybe higher, maybe less high on this side. Don't worry about it. Just that sense of lifting. Okay. Coming into this balance. So, got that energetic connection with the floor. Find a point in front of you. And lift it up. Okay, upright. Energetically lengthening in 2 directions. Lifting up through this knee. Give it a hug if you can. Opening, broadening across the chest. Let's open it up. So if you're going to open up like this, just be aware that when you lift that chest, there is a tendency to overbend here and really collapse. So keeping that sense of strength in the belly and a lift through the chest rather than a collapse into it. And then all the way back down. Okay. So just a moment, doing maybe some seated cats and cows, that's nice. So taking the hands to rest anywhere on the legs that's comfortable. Of course, you might not be cross-legged, you might be in a different position. Through some cats and cows, so breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. And again, breathing in and out. And then we'll come into a relaxation position, and I'm going to choose constructive rest with the knees bent and falling in. I'm going to think here about coherent breathing. We were working on this a little bit before the lockdown. This is a long, steady, even breath. Constant breath, no holding. And all your awareness, all your attention is focused on the breath. So you count how long it takes to breathe in, and then how long it takes to breathe out. then make those even. So finding the breath is becoming even. So if you're breathing 4 counts on the way in, you're going to breathe 4 counts on the way out. But nothing is forced. There is no sense of I'm about to explode because I've drawn so much in. If that's happening, you need to slow down how much air is being drawn in and make that inhale longer, but there being less of it. We're going to work on making it 6 counts on the way in and then 6 counts on the way out. And then let go of that count of breath and bring your awareness to the sensations of your body. Noticing the parts of your body that are in contact with the floor. The soles of the feet, if you're in constructive rest like me. The bottom, the lower back, mid-back, upper back, backs of the arms, backs of the shoulders, back of the head. Notice how every time you breathe in there's a sense of energy and lightness, almost as if you could float away from the floor. But every time you breathe out there's that sense of grounding, that connection to the floor, that stability, that anchor. And that's what we're looking to cultivate, this balance between being grounded and stable, but also having a certain amount of energy and zest for life. When you're ready, you can start to wiggle the fingers and the toes, start to get a bit of movement through the arms and the legs. You might choose to bring the knees into the chest, have a little rock side to side. And then when you're ready, ease your way onto your side and then making your way up to seated. Sitting up lovely and tall, finding that sense of height, that drawing up towards the ceiling of the crown of the head, and that release and groundedness as the shoulders release away from the ears. The sit bones ease into the floor. Now I'm going to take 3 final breaths here. Big breath in. 2 more. 1 more. Thank you very much.